Hey YouTube, Bytes brought out DrumComputer on iOS, and this is amazing because it's the full desktop VST in app form, and it is just packed full of sound design stuff that is going to be a lot of fun to play with. So let's just dive right in on this. It's a little unusual in its design because they're trying to cram so many features into the space, but we've got a main mixer panel at the bottom here, and our sound design stuff is all up at the top. And if we go over to the kit here, we can play around with the pitch and stuff on a more global basis, so we can change the decay and stuff for each individual kit if we don't want to be doing it through the sound design options, which you get by clicking on the number of whichever this thing is that we're working with. So I'm going to be trying to make... I honestly don't know. I just like playing around with sound design in this. We're going to see what happens. Let me throw in a sequence here. We can do all kinds of randomization, which might be fun. So right now I've got the kick selected, or what will be the kick. Or we can just randomize everything. All right, this is kind of fun. I'm going to try to clean this up a bit now, get a 4-on-the-floor pattern going on top of whatever else we've got here now. All right, I like this as just kind of a general pattern to start working with. So we've got the kit that I showed you, the sequence now, and over here, this brings us into a zone mapping controller for if you've got a keyboard selected. It's not going to be helpful for this demonstration, so I'm just going to close the sequencer now by going up now to the first thing and just kind of tweaking this first thing to sound more like a kick drum. Like it's trying to do that right now. And we've got 3 different ways that we can make sounds here. We've got the Resonator, which is really amusing. I should have looked up a good way of explaining how resonators work. It starts off with an impulse, and then you're throwing it into a resonator box or something like that. It's supposed to simulate the tones, like the tones you would get from hitting a membrane, like a drum head or something like that. So the way that it works here is we've got this resonance thing where we can decide to tone it. Let me try to boost the level of this so you're hearing it. So we can change the resonance of it, and we can add more to it by changing the partials, which is basically saying I give you more of the things that are hitting the membrane. So really great tones in there, and we can actually shape the tone now when it's a little darker. Because as a kick, we don't want a lot of bright sounds in there. Change this over into low pass. I'm really liking the way that's sounding. Now let's add in this second oscillator, and this is something every single drum part in here has. Like every single one of these has a resonator, a wavetable or analog oscillator, and then a resynth or a sampler. So there's just so many things that you can be playing around with in here. I want to show you the wavetable for this one, because the analog is just kind of boring. It's just a wave. But the wavetable itself has a whole bunch of different samples that you can use as your wavetable. In fact, there's user ones in here. I'm trying to remember some of my favorites here. All right, here we go. trying to isolate this now. It's got a lot of things going on from that RM. And we got 0 FM. So now we're just hearing the wavetable here. I wish there was a init mod, because I'm going to go through and change some of these things that are affected. All right. The way that the wavetable thing is working here is we're selecting a slice by where we position this wave knob, and we can now move around through that with modulation. So let's do that by assigning it here. And this pitch is sounding really weird. I'm going to bring this up a bit. All right, so you hear how changing the wave with this modulation now is giving it a lot of extra character instead of just being a hard thump. Like, this is what it sounds like if we're not doing a lot of modulation. And by adding some more modulation from this envelope, we're getting just a little bit of extra texture to this instead of just a thump. We could change the speed and stuff, but this is basically just a very simple decay envelope right now. Like, let's just leave it as is, because that's working very well in this instance as a drum amp envelope, basically. We can get into some more creative stuff here with the Resonator if we want to screw around with like the pitch mod, which is again using the envelope here as its source, and we can change that if we want to. But it's using, I imagine, this one. Oh yeah, that is sounding really nice. All right, so together we're hearing a kind of a thunk with some grit to it, but the grit's not really fitting very well here. So I'm going to try to bring down that dark deep tone, and I'm going to try to make this gritty sound here sound better, because right now it just sounds like a minor little glitch. That's not interesting. Try changing the speed of that. And you can see which direction it's being modulated in by this little indicator here. Like if we decide to put a sine wave in here instead, you'll see it going up and down. Or it would if the note were holding longer for the speed. So. All right, I'm not getting that texture that was before, but I'm liking what this sounds like with this really dark subtone. And the resynth and sampler basically are going to be doing the same thing here, where we're just picking whatever the hell we want as our source. I think this dropkick one or dock kit one is probably fine. It's pitched a bit low. We can change the start position if we want to get past any attack or transients we don't like. Frankly, I think I like the resynth better than this. Switch over to that. It's just a little bit more logical, where we try to decide the coloring of everything. Instead of worrying about the transients and stuff like that. It's just like, let's take what we're doing right now, use some, whatever the hell kind of things that we want to use. Let's throw in that 808 kick. Now, this resynthesis here, we can try to change the pitch of things. We can try to get like the 808 is usually used for the boominess, but we got all this other crazy stuff back here. So I'm trying to find just a little slice of the 808 character here if I can. All right, let's hear what that sounds like with the that deep resonant bass. And now the whole thing together. That is a grumbly, deep, angry bass, but it's not giving us too many other frequencies, because like this is a really rich bass kick that we've got going on here. We don't want it to be getting up into frequencies that we absolutely don't want it to be in. There's a few ways to address that. The easiest here is with the filter cutoff. I'm actually going to keep this a little higher than you might expect. But listen to how the resonance here, the Q, is affecting things. God, it's really fucking annoying that MIDI learn thing keeps popping up there. God damn. I'm trying to use the mouse so you guys can see what I'm doing. Alright, so I'm using this resonance here to kind of just emphasize some of that growly there, but not so much that it becomes like an overtone. And we can further reduce any extra frequencies here using the EQ section by setting the EQ high shelf to be as low as it allows, which is 1000 hertz, and then just dropping this down. So we're getting rid of everything except for that low grumbly. If you're mixing on headphones, you're probably going to want to start to push up just a little bit on the 300 range here for the kick. Just a little bit. You don't want to get it too peaky. But it'll sound better if somebody's listening to it now in those little shitty earbuds. So we got our kick done. There's so much more that we can explore here. Let's jump in now to the snare, which sounds fantastic, by the way. That is already sounding really good. Oh man, I don't even know if I want to screw around with this too much here. Let me try to bring down the level here because it's a bit loud. And you see that we've got this going into the room and hall, which are controlled over here. So just throw a whole bunch of room here. That thing is just going to piss me off. All right. Oh yeah, okay, so this turns it on and off. And you hear how that's affecting everything when I do this. Like that's having a big impact. Oh god, that sounds really good, right? Like that is a really solid room sound here. Typically with all the lower frequency stuff, you wouldn't want that to be in your reverb, but in this, I feel like that's giving a really good, like, actual room sort of presence. Yeah, let's leave it around there. For the snare itself, though, let's tweak some things here. Let's listen to the individual elements. You'll notice the level for all three of the oscillators is up, so we should be hearing it, and the speakers are on them. So the Resonator is doing this, which is very interesting for the Resonator to be doing. Oh, that's a good sound too. I wonder if we tweak that just a little bit. Oh, the speed's way super high. What's that about? I really enjoy going through the wavetables, just to listen to how things are sounding within here, and like what can we do with these little textures, these granules of sound, because each one of these is like a single cycle. So I think in fact the actual description in the manual says that these are single cycle, just stacked together. So you can find all these little itty bitty grains of interesting things, and then try to move with the modulator throughout it. Like, go in and just give it a sine wave. Now it's basically acting as an LFO here that is triggered by a new press. See, we get too fast here. We're actually at like an audio rate now of the modulation, so it's having an effect directly on the audio rather than modulating the movement of this. All right, and then finally we've got the resynth here. Even it's a very bright sound for a snare. Ooh, right there. That's the fucking money right there. All right. Let's see what we got. I want to push the distortion on this. This is where it has a lot of distortion. There's two modes. There's saturation and then sample rate. Really like how that's sounding. I don't need to screw around with the like anything else. Like this is sounding great. I really like the pattern that this one has here. We can listen to the individual elements of it. So this is what's coming out of the resynth here, which is taking a sample of some noisy hat. Oh yeah, this is a fun wavetable here, this yay thing. This isn't particularly helpful for what I'm going for. If I remove the FM, it sounds a little bit better. This FM is kind of an interesting thing to be playing with because it's taking the resonator as the source, I believe. Like if I move this around, like even though we're not hearing the resonator, manipulating the resonator resonance knob is now having an impact on the wavetable over here, so we can shape how much impact that's having with this. And like if we change the pitch now, this, like we're doing FM synthesis right now with some weird shit, like just really, really weird stuff. By changing this pitch now, we're changing the tone. This is how you would change the color, or like a filter with the FM would be changing the pitches between the two. Bringing this up has an impact. Setting it to different numbers that are just like way random and odd from one another is just another way to make some very rich textures with the FM. I don't know what the hell this sounds like now. Like, that doesn't even sound any good anymore. We're not going to be using that anymore. But we can do things to shape it further, which is having an impact now on our wavetable. I really like screwing around with this exact sort of thing here, where we're just taking this a single cycle. Like, we're not even doing anything with the... Here, this is all we're hearing right now is this wavetable right now, and we're not doing anything to the wavetable itself. Okay, it's minutely varying with a square. We're definitely not hearing any change here. We can try screwing that just a little bit. And now changing the pitch of this is going to have an effect on the FM as well, so keep that in mind. I'm trying to lose distinct tonality here. Like, I just want it to be a noise rather than any actual pitch. This fine tuning is really helpful for that. All right, let's hear how this is sounding with everything else. This is sounding so good. It's going to take me like an hour to do the rest, but you get the idea, right? It's just a lot of fun sound design stuff to be playing with in here. I really like the way they've broken this apart. Like, they've just crammed so much into one screen here, where you can just tweak the hell out of this and take the very simple, easy to understand effects here and the shelf, the EQ and stuff. Like, it's all very logically laid out. The only thing that I found a little bit tricky here was when I was first playing with this, it wasn't immediately obvious to me how this modulation stuff was all working. So I'll point that out real quick here. This cutoff that it's mentioning here for this first modulator, which is set right now to be a gate generator. So whenever a note is hit, it generates whatever the hell we tell it to generate. So right now it's doing some other square thing. We could tell it to do a random thing. And we can assign now these to various things. Like, we can say, okay, we go to the global pitch now. What the hell is this going to do? Oh, that's a fun effect here. I really like using noise in these sorts of instances here, because it's drums, right? Like, we don't want it to be pitched. We want it to be noise. Just sort of random. And this is how you give drum machines some soul, is by adding little bits of randomness to their character. Seriously, like, I use the mouse so you can follow what I'm doing, but this is just really pissing me off with that MIDI learn thing. All right, and then in the second one here, though, where it's talking about the wave, like we've already discussed, it's controlling this wave, but this decay 3 now is actually referring to this decay over here. So it's a little odd the way that this is lined up, because, like, you think this cutoff, like, what in the hell is this cutoff over here? Well, it's talking about the cutoff way the hell over here, which may not be obvious to you. I hope that this has been helpful, and I hope that you will enjoy this. Thank you very much to all my Patreon patrons for making these videos possible. Take it easy, folks.